Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I'm not joined by my two co-hosts just yet. Hall and Reed should be here very, very soon. But the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. And the title of this episode is The Future. And joining me on The Future is a good friend of ours, Mr. Kevin Walsh, who is a Raiders fan. Just want to put that information out there in case it is valuable at any point. But Kevin, thank you for joining me on this Sunday evening, sir. The end of the season, the Commanders lost 38-10. What are you feeling right now as an outsider looking in at this football team?
Since this is labeled for the future, I'm going to channel my inner Nostradamus and say that the light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter. You know, you got that opportunity. You get a chance for a new year. It's better. It's not how you felt in September. It's not how you felt in October, but you've been waiting for this day for the past 2 months. The writing's been on the wall. It's just looking at your situation. It's tough with a young quarterback, but they just kind of tied the hands behind their backs when they took away their best edge defenders. And they were like, you know, we're just going to give up. And even though the NFC, anybody literally could have made it in as a wild card this year.
Yeah, now some people did give me grief when I said in the offseason that the NFC was wide open. And I wholeheartedly believe that, and obviously it came into fruition. And it's just unfortunate that the year that it is wide open, we can't do anything with it, right? And we take a gigantic step back. And speaking of stepping back, Sam Howell today, 19 of 27, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks on the day with a rating of 65.8. Kevin, as an outsider looking in, what should Washington do at quarterback, sitting with the now solidified number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft? As an outsider, do you think Washington should go down that quarterback route, or what do you think?
You have to do your due diligence. You have to host every single one of these quarterbacks, and you have to look at whoever the new coaching staff and the GM and say, are we ready to go with this guy? Because if we're not, we have a guy that's got 17 games of NFL experience, which is so much growth. It's hard to judge Sam Howell based off of the numbers right now because none of those numbers have time to pressure right beside them. Because if you're getting beat up and you have no opportunity to actually let a play develop, it doesn't matter who wide receivers you have, what running backs you have. If they know that all they got to do is pin their ears back and they're going to get you in less than 2 seconds, you're set up for failure. So I don't think that any of the offensive line coming out as are worth a number 2 pick. So if you want to trade back, it better be for 3 first-round picks so you can build for more in the future.
Yeah, we saw the Rams. You saw the Rams do that in 2012 with Washington picks when they moved up for RG3, obviously. Mm-hmm. And people have brought up the trading back scenario, but in my honest opinion, we're never at this position. Like, very rarely are we ever at number 2. And given the fact of what we have here, a new startup regime, I think it's inevitable that they're going to take a quarterback. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at this overall season, right, and you look at where they are, they raised the ticket sales going in, I think, like a month ago, Kevin. And so the fan base were like, why would you raise the season ticket prices for next season a month before Christmas, say it to us right now and say you only have a couple weeks to get it done? Why would you do that to us? And my whole point was, Kevin, that they're smarter than us. They know what we like to do, and that they know what they're going to do in the offseason, that being getting a quarterback, and everyone is going to be excited about that. And so I think that that's probably the route that they're going to go down. I said for a while that this was Sam Howell's prove-it year. Obviously, this is a big opportunity for him to kind of show the organization they could trust him moving forward. And at this point, now we are joined by our next guest, Mr. Hall. Hall, I want to ask you, do you feel comfortable with going in with Sam Howell as a starter next season?
No. I mean, it is what it is. Like you were just talking about, this was kind of his prove it year. It was what can I say? Like the first half of the season, honestly, like you were seeing signs, you were seeing a little bit of growth. You were seeing that, like, okay, there's some things to work with. Maybe if you fix the line a little bit, put a little bit more pieces around him, maybe make the offense a little bit more friendly towards like the running game and more balanced and kind of help them out a little bit, or get a dynamic tight end that can kind of work the middle of the field, okay, maybe you can work with something. And then as we've seen the last half of the season, it's just kind of tailed off and got worse and worse. And as we all know, just like with a head coach, new guy comes in, new regime comes in, they're going to want to get their guy. And there's not many times that Washington's going to be picked, like has picked in the top 5, let alone the top 2, with quarterbacks on the board like this. And I just think that new regime, like I said, new ownership, they want to kind of put their stamp on the new brand of the team, new face of the franchise to come in with the new ownership, new head coach, new GM, all that. So I think that quarterback at number 2 is probably going to be the route they're going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think you're 100% right about all of that. Just given the reading the tea leaves, so to speak, just kind of naturally saying most likely that is the route going to go. But speaking of the quarterback and the kind of weapons that a quarterback has, Mr. Terry McLaurin was able to receive his 1,000-yard receiving yards for the season, 4th consecutive season. I don't know about you, but I was on Twitter. I was like, dude, if they don't get this.
Oh, yeah, no, trust me. Like, whenever Dallas got the ball back, and I was just like, dog, are they really going to drive down the field, not give the ball back to Washington? They're not going to get him his 1,000 yards, but luckily, the defense made a stop. They held him to that doink field goal, and it was almost kind of like Dallas's defense was in on it, because with that screen, he got so many yards, and then even when he got tackled, it was kind of like they were just kind of holding him up, like, all right, get your little couple more yards. All right, take him down. So, I mean, I'm happy for him, happy that Terry
I still hate Dallas, but if that were true, cool.
Yeah, I mean, Terry deserves respect. He deserves a solid. Well, this is the first time one quarterback's thrown to him the whole season, but he deserves better at the quarterback position, and hopefully, we'll be getting that soon. He deserves to be featured like a number 1 receiver because, I mean, 6th-player in NFL history to go for 900 yards in their first 4 seasons, at least 900 yards in their first 4 seasons or first 5 seasons, whatever it is. 4,000-yard seasons back to back to back to back in Washington. Like, he deserves to be featured like a number 1 receiver, like all the guys out here, like CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, guys like Devontae, guys like that are getting 10-plus targets a game. That needs to be Terry, and hopefully when a new offensive coordinator comes in, he will be featured like even if you don't want to call him a number 1, he'll be featured like our number 1 that he should be.
I'm with you. You.
If I could ask y'all, 17 weeks with Bieniemy, so selling or buying?
I would say if there wasn't a new regime coming in, I would probably be okay rolling with him next year, just for the simple fact of second year in the offense, continuity in the offense. It'll be another year to kind of get his type of players in the system that he wants into the offense. Obviously, hopefully the line will be fixed at that point, and maybe some better QB play. But I mean, look, we've seen that, and a lot of people have said that the All-22, if you really look at it, like they're saying that a lot of his stuff is working. It's just like obviously the quarterback is not reading it right or getting it out. And we've seen that when Jacoby Brissett comes in, a veteran quarterback that knows how to like hit his drops, get the ball out quick, knows when to throw the ball, where to throw the ball, makes quick, precise, decisive decisions. We've seen that, they can move the ball, they can put points on the board. Even with Sam Howell, they were putting points on the board in the first half of the season. But, I mean, I just think that, it's just probably it's going to be a full, clean wipe of the slate of everybody. And, yeah, I mean, personally, I think that if he goes up to Pittsburgh and he becomes offensive coordinator up there for whatever quarterback they have coming in, or maybe Kenny Pickett, or if he gets a head coaching job, I think he'll be a good head coach. But, I mean, I just think that, unfortunately, some of our players are just too soft to kind of take the coaching that Eric Bieniemy presents. So it is what it is.
I'll say this
for him to be your head coach next year.
Nah, it's not going to happen. Just because if the offense was more consistent and more balanced, and they weren't like, if you look at comparing Scott Turner's offense and Eric Bieniemy's offense just by the numbers, the only thing that's really better was maybe the third down percentage a little bit better. But the only thing that was the red zone was really what was like flipped around, the red zone scoring percentage. But outside of that, the numbers are kind of almost identical. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, look, I will say this. Let's get into the ayahuasca den. All right, let's put our tinfoil hats on a little bit. With EB, it's really hard to kind of gauge where he is offensive coordinator. You know that he has to grow somewhat, obviously coming from Kansas City in that Super Bowl pedigree. You know that he's not perfect, right? But he still has to grow on his own without Andy Reid around. But the weird thing about it all is the baptism by fire that he sent in Sam Howell in throughout the entire season. Because Kevin Hall, you guys know football, you know that every young quarterback needs a solid tight end and needs a solid running game in order to take the pressure off of them, to allow the play action to be productive, you could say. And that didn't happen until this game. You kind of saw the bag go in, right? And people were kind of wondering, why would you wait until week 18? Why
even last week at who did we play last week? San Francisco, I think it was, whoever it was. Mm-hmm. Like the first couple drives were balanced. We were moving the ball. We were even with San Francisco at halftime. It's like where is this offense the first 15, 16 weeks?
So honestly, dude, tinfoil hat, I'm not really sure if I could gauge EB. Because in my honest opinion, this game in particular, it felt like the governor was taken off of the engine, and they were allowed to be free to do whatever they wanted play call wise. Now, the reason being as to why that governor was lifted off, I think the damage has been done to the point where they kind of knew how today was going to go. And so it's kind of like, yeah, do your thing. We already know how it's going to shape out. And if that's the case, that tinfoil hat theory, then I'm not sure if I could really gauge EB, because if you bring in a defensive-minded head coach with a GM like Joe Ortiz and Mike McDonald from Baltimore as it clicked together, I think keeping EB around is actually not a bad idea, because then you actually have some continuity. But obviously I'm going to leave it up to them. But grand scheme looking at it, I don't think EB has been impressive enough to be able to warrant a head coaching job here next season. But he does intrigue me moving forward.
Yeah, no, I can, like I said, I get behind that. I can agree with that. Like you said, the offense wasn't so much drastically better that it would be like, we gotta.
Right.
And if that was the case, obviously Sam Howell would be more in the conversation of sticking with him as a quarterback next year, because they would kind of go hand in hand. So I get what you're saying.
But it's all so confusing, Kevin. All so confusing. Now the next question
is, sorry.
The next question I have for you, Hall.
Bieniemy looks good for us.
Shut up. The next question for
you're getting
Hall.
Jim Harbaugh.
Players that stood out today versus Dallas. Even though it was a 38-10 loss, we did get to see some of the younger guys. Still weren't able to see Cole Turner. Wish that was able to be the case. I love Logan Thomas. I know that they try to get him the football today, but even John Bates had some drop passes where you're sitting there saying, I know that Cole Turner might not be the best blocker, but he sure would have helped in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we asked Sam last week, and he said just flat out, he's just not good in the blocking game, so they can't really use him. So, but it's just weird that they don't use him as a flexed out tight end or something like that. But
that's my whole point.
I mean, that's a whole other story. Right. But
Khaleke Hudson.
What was the question again? Oh, I was going to say Khaleke Hudson. I was going to say the Khaleke Hudson, the guy that definitely stood out.
13 in total for the day.
Yeah, he's a guy that unfortunately, when it's a lost season or the game is lost, he's a guy that definitely comes in and stands out, is making plays in the backfield. Kind of makes you wonder, where is this at during the rest of the season when the games actually matter? But, I mean, yeah, he's definitely a guy that stood out today, as he has kind of stood out for the last game or two, honestly. So definitely shout out to Khaleke Hudson.
Yeah, and then another one, John Ridgeway, I think deserves a huge shout out. That one interception that they forced by holding the left guard, by forcing him into the tackle. Look, dude, I don't care if that's illegal, John. You're a hog, dude. You're a dog, dude. That's what I like about you. And then Abdullah Anderson, I thought, was really showcased himself a lot today. He was in the backfield a lot, clogging a lot of issues. But on top of that, by it all, is Mr. Samuel Cosmi, my friend.
I was just going to say, you definitely got to get Sam Cosmi.
My man. Look, Michael Parsons is a great player, one of the best in the NFL. Michel is very good at what he does, but I just love the fact that Sam Cosmi wanted to just do something extra to him. And look, he got thrown on his back, whatever, but it was fun.
Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest improvement from last year to this year with Sam Cosmi? Because he went from bust to being a top-rated PFF.
You know what the biggest thing was? They put him at one position and said, "We're sticking you here. We're not going to keep switching you from guard to tackle, guard to tackle." Honestly, he was supposed to be a guard from the beginning. They tried to get him out of tackle. Didn't work out, and like I said, for whatever reason, they were obsessed with the position flex and wanted to keep swapping him at right tackle, right guard, right tackle, right guard.
Because he played left tackle at Texas, and everyone kept saying he's a left tackle, he's a left tackle. Kept telling everyone, no, he's a guard, and yeah.
They finally just locked him in at guard, and He's been a great revelation for this team going forward on the offensive line.
Is it an arm length issue?
No, it's more so of just being the body mass, going against the kind of athletes that he is. Sam Cosmi, the footwork and all that jazz. But when he's
He
up in the
can't bend.
trenches in the guard area, it's much easier for him to be able to maintain things. And also, he's got the nasty streak to him. But ultimately, Kevin, the biggest difference between this year and years past with Sam, honestly, I just believe it's health. He hasn't been able to stay healthy for an entire season up until this point, but he's done a great job this season. And look, we needed it. We didn't have much consistency up there up front, and obviously Sam Cosmi's being up there, and another tally for the second round picks, because they hadn't had great history up until that point.
evil streak of second round picks never hitting.
Right, and then Quan Martin getting the pick today, which I was really excited about because obviously that's a player that I've been wanting to see more of. Obviously, at the end of this season, when you want to see more of the young guys, and Quan Martin was obviously one of those guys, and just showing again that he's a playmaker, going around the ball, and he really just has a nose for the football when he is around it. Hopefully, he can continue to grow. I heard people say that he's going to take Cam Curl's job. Look, man, he was playing in the slot today. Pump the brakes a little bit there. You know what I'm saying, pal? All right, now let's move on to our fan questions. Kevin, as an outsider, I got to ask you this question. This one is from the Colonel. Try to answer this as not as a troll, but just as a emotionless a fan of Washington. He asks, what happens if we screw up like Carolina and move up to get Caleb Williams and he turns into a bust? Can we get a quarterback over 6 feet, for God's sakes? Watch Hal's film, having to jump up to see over the lineman coming at him.
There's a couple of quarterbacks that I wrote off pretty early, being Justin Fields and Kyler Murray, being the sub 6, the smaller guys, the guys that are running around and they get hit a lot. And their first couple seasons were rough. But if you watch Kyler Murray against the Eagles last week, it was insane. This guy is moving around. You see Justin Fields has the flashes too. I don't think the height is as big of an issue as people are really worried about. I think
Tyrod Taylor just threw for 300 on the Eagles today.
Don't get me started, Tyrod. There's just people in this league, and I mean, I don't even want to start with Jacoby Brissett, and y'all should have been playing him this year and probably got 3 more wins. But
don't add that.
I know. But sorry, going back to the Curls question was without being a troll. Sorry, I got lost on the troll part. Wait.
Basically, what happens if Washington moves up and Caleb Williams is a bust?
Moves up to 1?
Mm-hmm.
Why would only to prevent somebody else from getting him?
The Bears.
But
because yes, essentially, if the Bears wanted him, or if the Bears were willing to trade out with somebody else, and we would say, no, we want that player, so let me give you this in order for us to get there, because you don't have to move back far to get a player that you want, so to speak.
Is Caleb Williams really the guy? Is that the best quarterback in this draft?
That is the quote-unquote best quarterback in this draft, but I would say there's a lot of time in between now and then. But the question is that there is a lot of quarterbacks available, but the ceiling is the gigantic question, and each one has their own issues going on. So it's hard to be able to pinpoint and say that this guy is the best of the group because they all have their own issues. That's that barring.
Yeah, you're just the thing is Washington's not a quarterback away to give up too many assets. You need to just let fate be and if he falls to you, he falls to you. If he doesn't, get the other next guy. Keep that high second round draft pick, get that lineman, and get the tight end that you want, because it doesn't matter who's slinging the ball if he's got 2 seconds, and you just saw that all year. So if you're going to waste assets and not build the line, no, don't trade up. Don't be a fool and do that. But if you have a plan in place to get solid protection with solid tight end weapons, of course you do it. But I just don't think that they're that close, that I think that trading up and giving away those assets is going to make it a winning franchise with the rest of the competition out there.
I like that response. Good job, Kevin. Honestly, I did not think that you were going to be as professional as you were with that, but I'm proud of you. What do you think, Call?
Yeah, before I answer the question, I'm just going to have the rebuttal to that you can say that like they're not a quarterback away, but it's not a 1-year plan. It's a multi-year plan. So if you really get that quarterback and he's really that franchise changing quarterback, then the short-term 1-year plan is going to be the long-term plan is better than the 1-year short year plan where it's kind of like he's growing whenever, blah, blah, blah. So I understand what you're saying as far as like keep your assets, you're not one player away, but if you get that franchise changing quarterback that can be here for the next 10, 15 plus years, then I would say it's definitely worth it than gathering a couple other players that probably aren't going to get second contracts because of you're not going to be able to pay every single player that you obviously draft. But going back to the point, other question, I mean, I think Caleb Williams is over 6 feet. I think everyone was talking about that over the weekend on Twitter, but
Dude,
pretty sure.
WCC has been talking about this for months, blowing me up, talking about Caleb Williams is not really 6 foot, comparing pictures next to him and Lincoln Riley. Like, dude, I mean, I get it.
I saw the picture next to RG3, and RG3 is 6'2", and he was literally like an inch
why
and
are
a half
guys
shorter
so
than.
obsessed with size, bro? It's weird.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know, but either way, like,
Asking for
if you're like, obviously, like the quarterback, like size, like I guess kind of does matter, but it's all about where, like what platforms you throw from, how you're able to see the windows over the offensive line and the windows through the offensive line, and it's about throwing with anticipation, which Caleb Williams does all three of those things. And look, the bus thing, yes, it could be definitely possible. It could be true. He could definitely not pan out, but I'd rather be the team that drafts him and see if he pans out to be that generational, like, franchise-changing quarterback that all these scouts, all these people have been talking about since he's come in as a freshman at Oklahoma, rather than passing on him and another team being that for another team. We're sitting here like, well, here we go again. We could have had this guy, but we passed on him. Now we don't have another franchise quarterback for X amount of years. So, I just want to look, like we talked about before many times, whoever the GM and the head coach and all those guys decide on, obviously we're going to support them. But yeah, it's like guys get fired for passing on generational talents or great quarterbacks like that. So if it happens that way, some guys might be keeping their job. So it just boils down to I'd rather be the team that finds out if he is that dude rather than not be the team.
Yeah, I'm with you. What happens if we screw up like Carolina and move up to get Caleb Williams and he turns into a bust? Reed will cry, and I most likely will be very upset, but I think we'll still be in a good spot. Honestly, Colonel, it's willing to take the shot, and we've never been in this position before. You miss every shot that you don't take. Might as well sit in this position that we are. This is a good spot to be able to take that quarterback. We talked about it last week, where having that dual quarterback where it's more safe looking forward. Whereas if you do draft a quarterback and he doesn't do all that well, do you have a backup case scenario where a long-term PR aspect where you could feel good about that player coming in, i.e. Sam Howell? And I think there is some value to that, so to speak. But no,
you can look at the Texans this year and see that waiting is just fine.
You're absolutely right, because last year they were 4-13.
Stroud, I mean, hindsight, do you think the Panthers are taking Young over Stroud?
If you believe the reports, then most of the people, Frank Reich, all the offensive coaches, the whole offensive staff wanted to take CJ Stroud, but David Tepper was the one that was like, no, you're taking CJ or Bryce Young. So obviously they had to draft kind of like Dan Snyder. They had to draft Bryce Young because of the owner said he wants that guy. So if you believe the reports, you know what I'm saying, but who knows?
Yeah, honestly, I believe in the mindset of butterfly effect. If Stroud went to Carolina, you wouldn't be seeing the Stroud right now. It's more so of this pieces being met. Adding Tank Dell, that was my blue chip playmaker of the draft going into that draft last year.
Which also whenever they drafted Stroud, he was begging the table like, yo, I want Tank Dell, get him on the squad, like draft that dude. And it definitely panned out. So
that was my blue chip. Ask Tim Towner. He asked us that before the draft, and he'll tell you what my answer was. And they did a good job of being able to supply him with some weapons, and in that case, Kevin, to Hall's point before about being able to take a quarterback now, we do have those weapons in place, i.e. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, 2 receptions for 17 yards today, getting him back into the grand scheme of things.
Isn't that his MO now? 2 catches?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know what happened with him this year, honestly. He just got phased out the offense. I don't know if it was scheme or him and Sam don't really have that connection or what it was, but
there's no trust. It was crazy. Dotson comes down with it. I've loved his tape at Penn State. For a little guy, he goes up, he high points, he gets it. He just doesn't get the targets.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part about it all, Kevin, is that Sam Howell has more passing attempts than any other quarterback in the National Football League, and we're struggling to get our wide receivers targets. Doesn't make sense. Not a recipe for success, that you could say. But now my next question, boys, before we get into the rest of our fan questions and everything, Rivera said today in his post-game presser that he is meeting with Josh Harris tomorrow. What do you think about that, Hall? Do you think it's too late? What do you think of the whole scenario?
Too late to save his job?
No, did they wait too long? Is this?
I mean, way too long. Like the only reason that you would have got rid of him during the season would be to give Eric Bieniemy a shot at the head coach to see what he has and see if he can actually be the guy going forward. And once they pretty much brushed that off and said that they're keeping Ron and they weren't going to elevate EB, whatever, blah blah blah, it was pretty much etched in stone to me that they're going to interview him like next year or this upcoming season, whatever it might be. But he's probably not going to be the head coach, and they just want to bring their own guy in. So, like, you can say that, oh, they waited too long, they should have fired him, and blah blah blah. And it is what it is. Hindsight is always whatever. But look, Ron coached us to the number 2 overall pick. So you can hate on him, you can say they should have fired him, but maybe if they fire him and EB gets the head coaching job, they get the little Raiders bump where they start playing a little bit harder and they win a couple more games. Next thing you know, we're out of that range for that QB. We're out of the top 5 for a draft pick, and then people were complaining about that. So just be happy that we have the number 2 overall pick. Be happy that Ron was the adult in the room that we needed for this franchise for those first 3.5, 3 years.
That's how he found it.
So, yeah, just be happy that yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is.
No, look, and Kevin, I want to ask this question to you because you, being a Raiders fan, you guys fired your head coach, Josh McDaniels, it feels like 3 years ago at this point. Antonio Pierce has come in and done very well as an interim head coach. You guys have won some games, been very, very competitive. You won today. And so I want to ask you, going the interim route, does that almost cause more issues for the new head coaching search? Or would you have rather stay with what you guys did? Or would you go to what Commanders are doing and more so of waiting for mutual parting setting of ways after the season?
That's a lot to get to. So I'm going to start first with what I think your Josh Harris interview is going to go like tomorrow with Ron Rivera. And I'm going to just tee this up.
You're fired. Yeah, you're funny.
I think that's what's going to happen tomorrow morning. But no, so the interim thing is such a sticky situation. Hindsight should have kept Rich Bisaccia for another year. Hindsight definitely never should have gotten Josh McDaniels. I don't know what they put in Mark's water that day because apparently that's all he drinks. But have you seen those pictures of Mark Davis with all the water bottles?
No, but I have seen the pictures of his haircut wearing a backpack.
Bro, he is the ultimate gangster, dog. Nobody else can mess with
Dude, he looked
Mark.
like a little anime character. He looked like a gangster.
Anybody I know that can pull off all white is a killer, bro. A killer. So, but no, I am super conflicted on the whole thing. Would I love somebody like Harbaugh to come in and do what he did for the 49ers at the beginning? Yeah. Do I want him to come and do what he did to the 49ers at the end? No. Like everybody thinks like everything's all glorious because he went to college and then blew up. I'm like, that's what every bad NFL coach does is go to college and blow up. Like it's different when you're there, especially the fact that he's not even leaving Michigan because he wants to. He's leaving Michigan because he got busted and he's going to Vegas. You don't think we're going to get some form of crazy, like him cheating something out here, sending hookers, this, that, and the third. Like I don't think that he's a grown man coach. And he proved that when he was with the 49ers, because he let that entire team fall from a stacked defense. And then when he benched Colin Kaepernick and then everything happened with the Black Lives Matter, he just kind of was like, I'm out. So it shows that he just doesn't have the pride, the poise to stick around and stick through something, but he has no problem coming in, throwing his magic out there, seeing what sticks, and then rolling out. And it's just going to happen again.
How pissed are you going to be when you guys hire him?
What's that?
How pissed are you going to be when you guys hire him?
I mean, I'll be the same way I was with Josh McDaniels. It's my team. It's family. Sometimes people in your family date people you don't really like, It's just like, all right, I'm rolling with them. Just screw over my sister or screw over my brother. Like, if you do, I'm going to kill you. But, like, you're here now. We're family. It's like I like the Olive Garden effect. And So I want an AP to stay, but the problem is that Patrick Graham is what's really controlling our defense. Antonio Pierce is a manager, which is great, but if keeping Antonio Pierce means losing Patrick Graham, I don't think it's worth it. I think we need to look. I think we're doing a disservice to give a guy who only has 1 year professional coaching, 1 year of college, and a couple years of high school. I love the guy, but without Patrick Graham being there, focusing on the defense and letting him just be a man, I can't sign off on it completely unless they got some other version. But we need an offensive coordinator. I don't want Kellen Moore. I don't want another year of Bo Hargady, even though you saw some evolution. I would love a quarterback that's mobile. AOC can't move. So we need a coach that's going to come in, be an offensive coordinator, and train our guy to be ready to go. Because I think our defense is playoff caliber. But
you guys did a pretty good job against Kansas City, so I would argue that is probably the case.
Kansas City's trash, dude. Kansas City is not a focused team. They don't know what's going on. They can't catch a ball. They led the league in drops. Like, think about it. If they caught half those drops, they're a 14-win team.
I don't know about all that.
Literally, one was didn't Marcus Valdez-Scantling drop the game-winning catch?
He did. That's one.
Yeah.
But I will say this in regards to Rivera. I'm glad that Harris is doing things the right way. Harris saying that basically they're going to meet tomorrow, not firing Rivera on his birthday. I've said this for a while. If this is going to end in any way in a mutual parting of ways, that's most likely going to be the case. Rivera doesn't need to hang on to for dear life on this thing. The dude had cancer, went through chemo, and I think the guy is just ready to be able to move on with his life, spend time with his family, and that's what I think Joe Gibbs said to him today. I'm glad that Josh Harris is doing this.
And he's not going to get any cake.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he's going to be here tomorrow, that the mutual parting way is going to happen. We're going to have a really good, solid, concrete transition of power that other franchises have the benefit of and ours never does. And so I'm glad that they're doing this with class and doing it the right way. I'm excited to move on and to see them moving forward. Now, that being said, Hall, the next question on Twitter by Tony Franchise. What is your best memory of the Ron Rivera era?
Man,
today
I'd probably say that the Taylor Heineke, the Monday night game, or was it Monday? Yeah, the Monday night game up in Philly. What was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Last year? 2 years ago? 2 years ago? Whatever it was. When we beat them, they were undefeated or whatever, and we went up to Philly, beat them. Taylor Heineke balled out. Terry McLaurin balled out. I think Ron's mom had just passed away, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they won it for Ron. It was a whole nice sentimental thing. He was in the locker room all choked up. Everyone was going crazy. So I'd probably say that was probably the best moment. But close second would be, even though it kind of in hindsight kind of screwed us in the long run, I would say making the playoffs in the first year just because obviously the whole cancer thing, and then the going toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay for a little bit of that game, and just that way that season planned out, it was kind of exciting and fun. But man, my number one would be that Monday night game up in Philly.
My favorite memory from the Ron Rivera, best memory of the Ron Rivera era. I would say there's a bunch of them, but I think the Atlanta game from 2 years ago with Taylor Heineke, J.D. McKissick, that was an electric performance, absolutely was. And then the Giants game Thursday night, the second game of the year 2 years ago, was also a fantastic one. There's so many to really pick from, and there's a lot that you can't. But I will say probably the best game that I watched, not in person, but just watched in the Ron Rivera era, was that Tampa Bay game when we beat the Bucs at home. That was a fantastic football game where we did, honestly, it was reminiscent of the Eagles game that we won that you just referenced to, Hall. So for that, I'll definitely say that the Tampa Bay game, being able to beat Tom Brady, in that Super Bowl winning team, that's better. Anything you got, Kevin, without trolling?
I like that Eagles game last year. I didn't even get a chance.
Because you are a closet Washington fan. Just want to let everybody know.
Yeah, of course. Well, so it was a Thursday night. I was working. I went into an appointment, and when I came out, it was Commanders were just killing it. And I was like, "What the heck's going on?" It's they're just running the ball. They're just not letting them throw. And I'm like, "Keep throwing it, keep running it, keep running it." And that's a pretty huge victory. Divisional Thursday night, national spotlight, and you just ran it down their throat, and that was the true Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl last year. Because after that, the next day they went and got Ndamukong Suh.
Yep.
Like so that stuck out to me as probably the biggest memory. And but
I don't think he was the only one. I think they
class.
added one more defensive tackle too, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't just Ndamukong. I think it was somebody else as well. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but he was definitely the grown up in the room. You got rid of Jay, talk out of the side of his mouth, Gruden, and you just got Ron lie to your face, Rivera. Because there was all right. One troll is last year, didn't he say at the end of the year something about how he wanted it to be more of a running team? It wasn't his idea to do that, and it's like,
the 2-to-1 ratio that he said with Martin Mayhew, and then everyone is complaining this year that you need to run the ball more. It's the biggest troll job. It really is, dude.
Yeah. Wow. Shoot, man, don't drown in that cup, bro.
It's fun.
I wish somebody could gif you falling into that thing.
Dude, it's been a fun time to be a Washington fan here with all of the craziness that happens. And the funny thing is Ron Rivera does not care about lying to people just straight up. He doesn't give a crap about the media. He doesn't care at all. No. Now let's go to our next question. This is from the Discord chat. Hall. This is from our boy Jeff Miles. This actually isn't a question, it's a statement, but I want to get your opinion on it. He said, too early voting. I don't want EB next year. I've seen what he's done without Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. I want Ben Johnson because I've seen what he's done with a washed Goff and Amon-Ra. I'm tired of Terry's career being wasted. Ben Johnson will bring him back to being a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson definitely has that offense up in Detroit rolling. I wouldn't say Jared Goff was washed. He just got kicked out of LA because Sean McVay didn't want him anymore. But, I mean, that just goes even more towards Ben Johnson, more feathers in his cap, because kind of revived his career and made him look like that number 1 overall pick that the Rams selected a couple years ago. And obviously, fans want to say about running the ball. Well, they got David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, two-headed monster, and one of the best running games in the league. So I definitely get that. And we were just talking about, or I was at least talking about how Terry needs to be featured like that number 1 guy for our offense, 8-10 targets a game, which he definitely does to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which people wouldn't think of Amon-Ra St. Brown as the number 1 receiver, but he gets that label because he's the number 1 receiver for their team, and he gets so many targets and so many looks. He's used in so many creative ways and so around the field that he becomes that number 1 target in people's eyes and receiver in people's eyes. So I definitely would love Ben Johnson to be here, and I definitely think that he would be able to do wonders with whatever quarterback he selects and the receivers that we have.
Hey, look, only thing I'll say in regards to Ben Johnson is you'll never see me turn down a BJ. All right, so I'm all for it, man. Bring it all in. I just want to get better. I want to win football games. I don't care how it's done. It could be Benjamin. It could be anybody else. I don't care. I just want a good one vision all in here. Now, the next question that we have, Kevin, this is from Tim Towner in the Discord. If you were a GM and you had to pick a head coach between either Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson, who you got? Bobby Slowick is the offensive coordinator for Houston.
The Texans offensive coordinator. So he's only been there for a year, right?
Correct.
And I mean, he's done awesome. I would definitely go Ben Johnson. That second year, you're seeing the Lions are definitely cooking. They were awesome on Hard Knocks. They seem like, I mean, I don't know if that means anything, but they're consistent. They know how to use 2 running backs, which you got. You see, Gibson's still running fine. So if you can maintain him through the offseason, Brian Robinson, they have a great 2-headed system, and he knows how to use 2 running backs. The wide receivers get open. You definitely need a tight end to go with that, because you saw how Sam Laporta opened that up. Slowick is I don't know. Am I saying his last name right?
Slowick.
So, I mean, from an outside perspective, somebody who doesn't watch a lot of Houston games, he looks good. But I just think 1 year's too soon, and you gotta credit. I think D'Amico Ryans really has everybody playing their ass off, and
he does.
Know if you're still gonna have that. My guy is Frank Smith is the one I'm most interested in talking about.
You know what's funny about Frank Smith is literally people kept talking about Frank Smith, and I just thought it was he was that was the dude Joe Schmo, they were just saying Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick and Frank Smith just saying like generic offensive coordinator guy. It wasn't until a couple weeks ago I was like, oh, he's a real person. He's the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. It's like, all right, cool. So.
Yep, I'm with you there. Look, with Slowick, right? He's with a young quarterback, his first year as OC, very, very productive, able to use the assets around him. Hall, you remember I was a huge Nico Collins fan heading into
that was
draft.
my guy coming out of
Yeah,
Michigan. That was my guy.
I absolutely loved him. I thought that he had the capability of being kind of like a superstar wide receiver, just needed the kind of targets in a good situation. But with Slowick, you kind of see him use it with a young quarterback, right? A rookie quarterback. With Ben Johnson, he's doing it with a very sophisticated, very built-up, asset-driven offense, meaning the offensive line, the wide receivers on the outside, the running back being a first-round pick, and with Jared Goff. So can you guarantee that Ben Johnson would be able to work with a rookie quarterback? And so if you're going down with a rookie quarterback, I would almost argue that Slowick has a better resume to work with a rookie quarterback more so than Ben Johnson. But I'm not going to get in here into what is mortgageable, what isn't. I think that either one can really help you, along with Frank Smith, as much as his name is generic as it is. Obviously, his offense isn't. And I'd be all for it because that Miami offense is absolutely just brutal, man. When you look at the ratios for the run-pass, Slowick's is the second to last. But if you look at Miami's is like dead in the middle, but they absolutely just destroy everybody because they do the run pass, but their runs are so goddamn effective you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do, and so they just go to town on you. And so Frank Smith would be a very interesting name. I like that idea there. But if I had to choose between one or the other with a rookie quarterback, I'm leaning towards Slowick, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. As much as that might be a gamble, that's what the Rams did with McVay, right? So never know.
Yeah. I get the point about the rookie quarterback and Slowick and he's developing him and whatnot, but kind of like to Kevin's point, like he's only doing it with 1 year. Like,
It's true.
like you know what I'm saying? Like, is it really D'Amico's Ryans like the culture and like guys believing in themselves? Or like I would say this. He's definitely developed CJ Stroud and he's looking like the real deal, but I would say was CJ Stroud going to be this quarterback regardless who the OC was?
It's the chicken or the
You know
egg.
what I'm saying? So
We're getting into the chicken or the egg argument. Hall.
exactly,
So
exactly.
stupid.
But like you said, I mean, all these offenses are like definitely like modern, new era offenses. They pass to run the ball and run the ball to pass like both ways. So I definitely think that either guy would definitely be probably a good head coach.
You're absolutely right. Now, this next question, this is from Tim Towner in the Discord, Cracky. His question is, what is your opinion about the state of college football? NIL? Transfer portal? Are you affiliated with just one team? Do you even care?
I care now. Like when it gets to the bowl games and the championships, like I don't care. I don't care when they're booking cupcake teams to practice on, but I like that it's becoming more competitive. I don't know what Big Ten means because there's like 20 teams there now. But the guys should be getting paid. They're putting their lives on the line. There's so many guys out there that were all stars, or I don't whatever you call them, and all college players, and they never made $1 in the NFL because they got injured in a bowl game for nothing. And then they went from being a first, second round pick. Get their money, change their lives, let them control their future. Because like there's opportunities. Like Caleb Williams, they were showing him that picture in the penthouse. Like he doesn't have to leave if he doesn't want to. Like if he's like, I don't want to go to Washington, isn't it get cold there? Forget that. Like he could pull some.
You know he's
moves.
from DC, right?
Didn't he go to like Gonzaga
Exactly.
or something?
I mean,
Yeah.
if I could leave and live somewhere nice, I would do that too. And
Isn't
afford
it cold there?
Yeah, what's going to happen next year with another team like Chicago or whoever, like a cold city team is at the top of the board? Where's he going to be like, oh, no, I'm just going to retire and not play football
Isn't it
anymore because I
cold
want to
there?
go to Cold City.
Ohio boy, just draft the cold. I think cold weather colleges should play at cold weather stadiums. Like, I think you should keep it north and south, man.
I got you. Tim,
you know,
for me,
hey, look at it. Look at Texas quarterbacks when it comes in. Show me a Texas quarterback that's won in the postseason.
It's an insane stat.
Look at Lamar. Look at Lamar from Florida. Hasn't won a playoff game yet. I mean, I love Lamar. I'm all in on the Ravens this year. Hasn't won a playoff game.
It's true. But Tim, I will say this: Virginia Tech fan. I was brought in when I was very, very young with my step-parents. My step-grandfather played and coached defensive line at Virginia Tech. Been going to Lane Stadium ever before puberty, seeing Michael Vick in person. So I'm a huge Virginia Tech fan, but I love the state of college football. I think the NIL deals, I think, is a waste of time. I think that your degree, your education is very important and is very cost effective. Now, if a guy does get injured, that probably is a good incentive for you to pay attention to your schoolwork and get your degree. That way you have something after football, because you never know what can happen. And so that is worth money at the end of the day, but it sucks that injuries happen. It's sports, it's life. That being said, I like where college football is going, because if more college players stay in college and progress, get better as actual football players instead of wanting just to get paid, the actual product in the NFL is going to be really good, i.e. Tyrod Taylor having a great year, i.e. Joe Flacco having a great year. The older quarterbacks are really blowing up and showing you that the more experience that you have, the better in the long term, especially for the quarterback position. So I think for that position alone, and looking at it from college football, I think it's good for college football, because it's going to force these guys to not have to go make that jump just to get paid. It'll actually allow them to progress in the timely manner that they should be getting into, and you don't have these situations of Trey Lance or Robert Griffin III, so to speak.
Or Ike Whitaker not making it all the way through Virginia Tech because he wasn't getting paid enough money, and he had to go and.
That wasn't the reason why he didn't get the Virginia
Yeah,
Tech.
it is.
Kevin.
Didn't he get in trouble? Man, he was making money on the side, like buying booze with fake IDs.
Mike, you know why?
Oh, because he hung out with Marcus Vick?
No, that's not why.
No,
Ike went to Northwest High School down the street from us. He was he's a legend,
champs, bro. Northwest.
Yeah, legend quarterback around the area. He went to Virginia Tech. He was actually a backup at one point, but then ended up leaving the team. We don't need to get into that and talk about depressing crap that'll piss me off. Now, the next question. This is from Deluxe Hall. What was the first jersey number in today's game that made you ask yourself, who is that guy?
It's a good question. When they blocked that kick, number 0, I was like, "No, who the hell is number 0 running down the field?" And then I was trying to look at his name, and I couldn't even make it out because he was running. He was juking. People were running around him, and I was just like, "Yo, whoever practice squad number 0 Larry, great job." So, but shout out to Josh Pryor though, because I do know that name. He went to Bowie State, but I definitely didn't know who number 0 was. No, still don't even know who he was. No. I'm not gonna lie. Still don't even know what his name is.
No, my one was, I think it was number 61. They brought him in as an extra blocker, like a tight end, but he's a lineman, and he was
I'm eligible.
Yeah, and he had two names. I was like, who the hell is that guy? I've never even heard about him. That was for me. Kevin, I don't know about you, but obviously it's a different circumstance with the Raiders. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No, I mean, we played everybody. I'm the only person that I really am happy about is Trey Tucker finally getting some flowers. That's gonna be a dude in fantasy. Oh, side note, fantasy. Good year this year, Mike. Great year, bro.
Did you win?
Awesome year, sir.
Oh, he won.
Dog.
Good for you, Kevin.
I don't even want to get into it. It was a blower, bro. I was playing Taylor in the playoffs, and my track record lately has been if I make the playoffs, I at least get to the championship game, whether I win or lose it, whatever. But I had Freiermuth as my tight end. I picked up Tucker Kraft, the Packers tight end.
Don't tell me you started.
And no, I got busy on Saturday.
Kraft was a baller.
Yeah, I got busy Saturday during the day, and I forgot to switch him out. And Freiermuth literally ended up getting 0 points, 0 targets. Basically didn't even play in the game, even though he was on the field every single snap. Didn't get any points. And I told Gavin, I was like, dog, I'm going to lose to Taylor by 10 points because I didn't start Tucker Kraft, and then Logan Thomas randomly got 14 points that week. But I ended up losing by 9 point whatever points, and Tucker Kraft got 10 points on my bench. So if I would have swapped him out like I wanted to, I would have been in the championship against Cracky.
And they got dog.
Yes. But at least I would have doubled my money.
No, Lamar, absolutely. Because when Kevin told me what his lineup was, we talked on the phone for a little bit. And I told him, your team was a lot like mine, except your difference was that you had a lot better quarterback. You picked up Lamar. I had Kirk. He got injured. But that really is what separated our two teams at fantasy-wise. But when I heard that he had Lamar, and then seeing the game Lamar had, I was like, it's a wrap. Kevin's got it.
Yep.
It's just done so at this point. Now, the next question that we have is from Tim Towner. Cracky, he asks, I cannot recall an NFL season of recent memory where so many teams were in contention for the playoffs going into the final week of the season. So that being said, do the Philadelphia Eagles suck or what?
I It's Super Bowl hangover. Saw the same thing happen to the Bengals the year before.
Good job, Kevin.
It's a gauntlet. That's why back to back is so rare, and the three-peat is out of this world. Like it takes so much mental stamina to be prepared for that. But the big thing is also who are the coaches? Who is the offensive coordinator? Who's the defense? Oh, never mind. They're coaching other teams. Oh, and those teams they're actually doing pretty well. So, it's hard to keep the ship together. And what's the real proof is pay your quarterback $250 million and see what happens.
Craziness, right? I mean, it's crazy. I said this before the season. I don't respect the Eagles. They lost both their coordinators. I think it's gonna really bite them in the butt down the line. And craziness. Look where we are right now. But honestly, I feel bad for Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback, and I liked him coming out of that draft. I don't feel bad for Nick Sirianni. I feel like he probably ran out of movies to kind of motivate the guys for. It kind of ran dry halfway through the season. Yeah,
he's the most annoying prick I've ever heard of.
Ever since he was yelling at the Chiefs fans in that tunnel, or whatever, I think they've lost almost every game since then. And good thing.
Wait, did you see Arthur Smith going after Dennis Allen today?
Yeah, I saw that. Look, I was kind of brash about it. I was kind of like, shut up, man. Like, get over it. But then I heard Dennis Allen talk about it, and I get it. I mean, but in the same breath, I understand Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was like, we're trying to hook up Jamal Williams on another touchdown. He needed it.
Exactly. It was like, it was an incentive thing. They were like, we're trying to get Jamal Williams a touchdown to get his incentive money up.
That's awesome.
So I mean, even Calais Campbell said after the game, like, there was supposed to be a kneel down, but Jameis switched to play the line of scrimmage, and they handed the ball off, and he got him the touchdown. So shout out to Jameis.
Have you seen? There's websites that show the incentives for players in the final week. It's one of the best ways to bet. Look at DeAndre Hopkins needed a couple yards and a touchdown. Like Jamal, like anytime touchdowns with that at the end of the season is
good job, Kevin.
For you guys.
Look, that's an exclusive, a little tidbit on some betting for you guys from the Burgundy.
This is straight from Vegas.
There you go, my man. All right, everybody, that's gonna wrap us up for this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us this one. Kevin, thank you, brother. You late notice for being able to join us here, man. I know you're not a Commanders fan. Talk about this weird whole season that has come out, but I appreciate you, man, as always.
Hey, man, DMV for life, man. I hear it. I got no choice. It's all local radio, so I'm kidding. Right. I got a giveaway for your friends if you want to. You all can figure this out however you want, but I got 2 Redskins coolers, full size Joes.
Who'd you steal those from?
Don't worry about that.
Okay. I know he stole that from somebody's house.
But yeah, man, they're 11-quart capacity. They have the old racist name on here. So if you're all about the R words, there you go. And it zips up and closes. I don't think it's been opened up since 1985, but that's the last time y'all won. So
I know.
We're good.
No, but honestly, there's going to be people who are going to want to hit you up about that. So I will let you know.
Anybody, you all can use it as a giveaway. Anybody, I'd rather go to Be a Good Fan. I also got some other cool stuff too. Next time we got on, I got some Redskin giveaway for everybody.
All right, dude. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up this
episode.
See,
look, told you he's a closet fan.
I know he is a closet fan. He is. All right, everybody.
I'm clearing out my closet. Is what's going on, bro.
You need to come out of it is what you need to. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And I'm Kevin Hart. Y'all have a good night.
Taller. All right, everybody. We will see you guys on Thursday. Do not miss this episode. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a wild one. Please make sure you tune in for that one. All right, everybody. We'll see you then. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.